We had a situation up in Michigan with an abortionist that has been around for a while. He's actually killed at least one woman that we know of. He's had 23 malpractice claims against him in something like 20 years. So he's a real sweetheart.
Not to mention all the babies he's killed.
Not to mention the thousands of babies that he's butchered. Anyway, he was giving a speech up there at in university, and as for the students for choice, medical students for choice. And of course, they didn't know anybody was going to be listening, so they can kind of talk freely, like when we go into the National Abortion Federation conferences. They think they can say whatever they want to. Yeah. Nobody's listening. But fortunately, some people from Students for Life were there, and we've got the National Director for Students for Life, Kristan Hawkins, with us. Hello, Kristan.
Hi, Mark.
How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here this morning. Now, you guys are one of your people was at Wayne State University. Is that correct?
Yes, we have a Students for Life group at Wayne State. They alerted us to this email. They had received, one of the med students received this email. They sent it out to all of their peers from the Medical Students for Choice group. So we had one of the med students who's in our Students for Life group. She actually went in and videotaped the abortionist speech, Dr. Hodari's speech.
Now, you've got this posted on the internet, is that correct?
Yes, it's on Google and YouTube.
How can people see that?
If you go to our website, studentsforlife.org, right there on the front page, we have the clip of Dr. Hodari saying that doctors have a license to lie.
Well, as an abortionist, you have to have a license to lie.
That's what he was saying.
It's amazing to me that well, it's not amazing. It's very typical, I guess. These people are going to bring in an abortionist, and they don't care that the guy's had all these malpractice problems, that he's killed a girl, that he's done all these other things. Just as long as he's an abortionist, that's all they want to know.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing to hear him talk. It was his first speech in about 10 years, and he's pretty infamous in Detroit. His talk was labeled, "Why I Am an Abortion Provider," and the students billed it, you can't get this kind of education in class. Hear how he deals with protesters at his clinics and at his home.
The subtitle could be, because I couldn't cut it as a real doctor.
As a real doctor, I couldn't get it. Well,
Exactly.
Now,
what was really scary is he was talking to future doctors.
Yeah.
And we already know, and Mark, you've done this research, we know that Planned Parenthood needs future abortionists.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're losing that battle. So what was really frightening to us was to see this abortionist come in, build as sort of a hero, and put up on a pedestal in front of these med students.
Well, one thing interesting here that jumped out at me when I heard about this situation of this 15-year-old girl that he killed, she was pregnant by a 24-year-old.
Yes.
This is a typical scenario that we see, and I guarantee you he's seen hundreds of these, and he's never reported a single one of them.
That's exactly right. Her boyfriend was 24 years old. It is statutory rape in the state of Michigan, and she died because of her abortion.
Now,
he actually killed another woman in 1996, Siobhan Williams.
Right. So he's killed 2 women. Mm-hmm. He comes on this thing, and he's telling these future medical students that he up after each abortion because it chafes his hands.
Yes, and he goes into saying why abortionists have opened up clinics instead of hospitals, because it's not as regulated in a clinic. They don't have to wear the white gowns. He doesn't have to scrub his hands as much in between each abortion, because really he doesn't really touch anything. And scrubbing his hands that much would chafe them.
I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
Kristan, what kind of a reception did he get from these students for choice, as they call themselves?
He had a very welcome and opening reception from them. At one point, the very beginning, one of the students from Med Students for Choice was introducing Dr. Hodari, and she actually said that she was disappointed to hear that this had reached the national news. And because Jill Stanek, we emailed this flyer to Jill Stanek. Jill Stanek posted this flyer on her blog and actually typed in the names of those 4 college students. So anytime you Google their names, this comes up associated with them, that they invited abortionists to speak to the students at their school.
Not only that, but I mean, they're all bad, and they're all, you were saying something earlier about another scumbag. They're all scumbags. So that's not anything there. But this guy's a scumbag among scumbags.
Yeah, he's not even, I guess a good abortionist would be an abortionist who just killed babies, not women.
Right.
He's actually killed women and babies.
Right.
So really, they didn't really do a good job of picking their abortionists to highlight.
It's hard to find a good abortionist these days, one that hasn't killed any women.
Right. Hey, Kristan, how was he received amongst the pro? We are all appalled by what he said, but was anybody in this group that is trying to be a good doctor, were they disgusted that he didn't scrub or whatever they might have been disgusted by?
I don't know how the students reacted personally. All I can tell you is when you watch the video, and when he says that we doctors have a license to lie, he goes, and it's true, we do have a license to lie. The students laugh. You can hear them laughing in the background, which to me was probably the most frightening thing, because we know he's a liar, but to have those students laughing, I don't know if it was an uncomfortable laugh or that they were just, they actually thought it was true.
It's amazing. It's obvious they have no standards.
Oh, that's completely obvious. And for them to invite him into medical school, and it was counted as credit. It was counted as a seminar, a lunchtime seminar, so students got credit for attending. So there were over 100 students there. And a lot of these students, and he has a real thick Argentinian accent. And, sometimes it was hard to understand what he was saying. It took us 2 weeks just to translate the video, and he was speaking English. So it was really interesting to see that they brought him in. He's an older man. They kind of made him look like this grandpa figure, this good old guy that's just trying to help women. And he says, "Oh, I don't mind the protesters. They're okay." Really propping them up to the students. And I think that was most damaging at all.
Has there been any retaliation for y'all exposing all of this?
No, there has been no retaliation. The students, the only thing they did was they mentioned at the beginning they were upset that we had turned this into a national issue, but we have not heard of any retaliation against us.
Quite frankly, Kristan, I'm glad y'all are turning this into a national thing, and I'm glad you're using YouTube. The one thing I love about your generation, you guys know how to use the internet, you know how to get the word out. And I am shocked that any college student would even back up on abortionists, because they're the very people they're trying to get rid of. When these were babies in the womb, this is the generation they were trying to wipe out in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
They all, every medical student who's sitting in that audience who was an abortion survivor, and they're not smart enough to see it. Mm-hmm. That's the scary thing.
That's exactly right.
Well, Kristan, thank you so much for what you're doing. And again, give that address where people can go see the whole interview again, and we'll put it up on the screen. But could you give us that one more time?
Yeah, sure. You just go to our website. It's www.studentsforlife.org.
Okay, and you can see the whole 50-minute interview right there? I mean, the 50-minute speech?
That's where you see the clip. To see the whole 50-minute video, if you go on our website, you can click to see the whole 50-minute video.
Okay, great.
Right there.
Well, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's what we've got to, we just got to keep exposing the truth.
I love these undercover investigations,
Absolutely.
They're not all glossed up on the nightly news. This is just down and dirty, exactly who they are.